here at the LTIMindtree headquarters in Mumbai, and joining me today, Debashis Chatterjee as well as Nachiket Deshpande to talk about how the company is looking at organizational innovation and how AI for LTIMindtree is going to help change the tech landscape of the world, perhaps. Gentlemen, thank you, both of you, for taking the time out and joining in. Debashis, let me start off with you. I know you have a sour throat, but is the organization, is the demand globally, is that in shape though?
First of all, thank you for having me in your program. As far as the market is concerned, it has not significantly changed over the last several quarters. But one thing is very clear, that clients are willing to spend the money in terms of getting them ready for AI. So if you ask me where the spend is coming from, apart from the cost takeout and the efficiency programs that clients are embarking on, there are predominantly two areas that I can call out. One is getting your infrastructure ready for AI, getting your some of the programs running in a small way, which can become bigger over a period of time. And the second thing is there are a lot of regulatory changes clients have to go through, and they are very happy to go through the regulatory changes as well.
So are you on target for that 47,500 thereabout crores that you've set out for 2027? Or is it looking like ambitious right now?
Well, at this point of time, I think the best way to talk about is what is our overall goal. Yes. We have very clearly called out what we want to be. We do want to become a $10 billion company over a period of time. Now, talking about $10 billion is not good enough. We know why, we know what, and the most important thing is how.
Yeah.
So we are right now in the middle of preparing the how, but we are very confident that we have a robust plan in terms of how do you get to the $10 billion over a period of time.
Great. Would you like to define?
Well, if you look
how many years or how many quarters is it going to take?
Well, I think, nobody really knew about the market conditions, what we experienced for the last 2 years. So it's probably difficult to define from those terms. But assuming that the market conditions improve and assuming that we can do a 10% CAGR growth from next year onwards, it will be somewhere in the 2031, 2032. But having said that, we also have the appetite to do inorganic as well. So if you do an inorganic and the right one, then obviously the timeline can be crunched a little further.
Great. Nachiket, you just walked me through your AI innovation hub, fascinating as it may be. But tell me, how is it that AI can actually propel you and get that $10 billion mark much quicker than 2031?
So there are two components, Aisha, on that. Number one is, as an organization, traditionally we've had a very small percentage of our revenue was annuity. And we were playing largely in the discretion space traditionally. But with an AI approach and with a competitive advantage in terms of how we are unlocking productivity, it allows us to disrupt the market in the traditional run space, to do it differently. And that is evident in the deals that we have closed in this year. And we continue to grow in that large deal space. We have been invited to more large deals with that differentiation, and we are winning fair share of those. So that's one way AI will help us accelerate the journey to $10 billion that we are looking at. The second component is, as I talked about this everything for AI, those are the new areas that the customers are spending money as they are getting ready for their AI journeys, whether it is infrastructure, whether it is data journeys, whether it is building guardrails and so on and so forth. So those are new revenue opportunities that we are trying to capture. That will give us new avenues of growth that we have not had. Then there are industries or industry areas like traditional BPOs that we never played in. With AI, those industries and those services are getting disrupted the most. So it gives us an entry point to actually disrupt that market. Again, new revenue opportunity that we've traditionally not played in. So those are the ways in which we will be able to accelerate that $10 billion journey, leveraging AI as our key pivot.
But Debashis, tell me, in the quarter gone by, there was some amount of pressure on your margins. What strategies have you put in place to help propel the margins as well forward?
Look, margin is definitely not a one-quarter phenomenon.
Of course,
It's a discipline that you bring in the organization, which has to run quarter after quarter. So the good news is that the discipline is pretty much in place. So as an organization, we are always thriving for looking at those opportunities which will help us in terms of upliftment of margin. There are only, broadly, there are two levers that you have for margin, and there are sub-levers. The first and topmost lever for margin is growth. It is growth which can actually help in margin. And the second thing is there are certain cost levers which you can use, and it's the same set of levers which everybody uses. And we have been using those levers very effectively to help the margin stabilize, and margin can go up also if you use those levers properly. So the pressure on margin that you saw is basically the revenue line did not come the way we had expected. But the moment we realized that it is not coming up to our expectation, we actually ensured that all the other levers that we had, we did not, we had implemented those levers very well. And actually you saw a little bit of upliftment in margin in the last 2 quarters. And our view is that come what may, if you can run the margin program in a very disciplined fashion, then as the revenues come back, margin also will see a significant upliftment with the revenue line.
Nachiket, from a customer, centric perspective, how do you prepare margins up?
So I think, like DC said, one is, of course, if we continue to do more with the same customer, that helps getting a better margin profile because our overall investments get leveraged better. So deepening our relationships with each of the customer is a fundamental thing. We're trying to cross-sell, upsell into new areas. And that's one way we focus on those. Second, I think if we are able to genuinely deliver the productivity that we are talking about from AI angle, we are able to, manage our cost more in line with the savings expectations that the clients have, and that hence gives us a healthy margin profile. But more importantly, I think that productivity-based conversation with the customers also allow us to take a greater risk in the outcomes. And if we are able to then define those outcomes, that allows us to do that with a different margin profile than the pure input-based engagements are.
Debashis, let's talk about various sectors from where you get business. And typically, like we were chatting about before the interview as well, BFSI is looked at that one very dominant source of business. And, pretty much all IT firms have said that, BFSI is beginning to look up. What is your own envision of how much BFSI can contribute to the business in the coming few quarters as well as years?
Well, I think, BFSI has definitely come back in a very nice way as far as we are concerned. Good set of clients, a lot of Fortune 500 clients within that space. And again, as I said, one of the areas where the BFSI clients have been spending a lot of money is the regulatory. And there is a lot of work that we have done with many of the clients in the regulatory space, and we are regarded as one of the players who understand that space very well. So that's something which has come back very strongly, and we feel that that should continue. The discretionary has not really come back where clients are spending money to build newer applications, but there is also a lot of consolidation in BFSI. So some of the growth that you see in BFSI are because of the three things. One is regulatory changes. Second is there's a lot of consolidation in which we are favorably positioned. And the third one is also some of the clients are also getting prepared for the AI. As Nachiket articulated, AI is not just doing AI without the infrastructure and the data and the guardrails that you need to set up. So clients are spending dollars in terms of setting up all those guardrails and the infrastructure, which is where we also participate along with them. So that is also helping in the BFSI clients. And we feel that BFSI is one industry vertical where we understand the client's domain very well. We have a lot of market clients, and we will continue to grow when the market conditions improve further.
Nachiket, but how is it that you bring in employee pyramid adjustments? How is it that you trigger more cost efficiencies? Because, like Debashis said, that is definitely one leg of margin improvement.
I think pyramid corrections is a systematic process.
Sure.
And for us, post the merger, we focused on utilizing bench from both the companies that got added in a more effective way. Our utilization has gone from around 80 to 82% that we used to operate as individual companies to about 86% post the merger, right? So that was one way we continue to generate efficiencies and leverage scale that we've got. The other pieces of leverage scale is how are we able to then improve pyramids? And we have had significant uptake in our campus hiring program and so on and so forth that will continue to correct that pyramid. But what is also important for us to look at it's not just about correcting pyramid from a hiring perspective, but we have to address the productivity angle. And that's where AI comes into play. And when we talked about that AI for everyone, it's about every persona in an organization having his or her co-pilot. Think about it. So if Nachiket has a certain productivity, Nachiket with a co-pilot should have a better productivity. And because the co-pilot can augment my lack of experience, it might augment my lack of capabilities in certain technologies. I might have certain technologies, not the others. It can augment my knowledge of a particular domain or an application infrastructure. So when I'm starting my career with a co-pilot that can augment my inefficiencies, I can actually be a far more productive person than me taking 3 years to get to that productivity. So that's our focus. So what we are looking at is we are trying to accelerate the productivity journey when people start their career in the first 3 to 5 years. With co-pilots, they should be able to get there much faster.
Debashis, tell me a little bit more about the discretionary spending. BFSI, you've given a thumbs up and you're saying that clients are spending. What are the other sectors that you think there is a lot more aggressive spending in the last 2 years?
Well, I think the spending pattern has definitely changed in the last 2 years. If you try to take a step back and look at during the pandemic, I don't think any of our clients across any of the industry verticals were talking about cost. They were all focused in terms of developing new applications, whether it is direct to consumer or it's contactless or omni-channel. Now, all these applications clients were building because that will in turn help their revenues. Now, fast forward, if you look at the last 2 years, I don't think clients are talking like that. Clients are more concerned about if you have spent so much money in migrating to the cloud, but am I getting the ROI? Clients are talking about, I've got so many applications or so many platforms, can I consolidate and take some cost out? I've got working with so many vendors, can I consolidate and take some cost out? So most of the conversations we have been having in the last 2 years, majority of the conversations have been on the efficiency side. But that will change. Even on the AI front, the kind of, you have seen the AI showcase. If you have observed, there are two primary objectives that we are driving. One is, can we help clients to increase their revenues by using AI? And can we also take cost out? But whether we like it or not, most of the use cases that you see right now are on efficiency and cost related. But I'm sure that will change over a period of time. So from a market standpoint, I think the conversations are still predominantly around efficiency and cost. But yes, there are regulatory changes which clients have to go through, especially in BFS. That's kind of ongoing. And we are all hoping that the discretionary comes back in the other industries as well.
What's been your observation, Nachiket, about the other industries other than BFSI in terms of spending?
So maybe two other examples I'll give. One is if you look at technology or high-tech industry, one of the big changes that have happened, which is not just limited to software, but every other participant in high-tech value chain, is moving to subscription-based constructs.
Models,
It is no longer just a license sale at one go. So when you move to a subscription-based model, there are a lot of new organizational capabilities you need, because the sales moment is not the most important moment, but the after-sales moment becomes important. So adoption of technology, renewal of that technology, increase in the subscription spend become important. And those organizations traditionally haven't built teams and technology for those motions because it was not important for them. They were using resellers or distributors to get their product out. They have to now understand their customers directly, a lot more than they were doing. So that is another area where we are seeing demand with our tech as well as OEM clients, which are trying to now change their business models to more subscription-based business models. The second example I will give is in around manufacturing and consumer goods space, there is still that whole SAP ECC to S4 journey with support coming to an end by 2027 or whatever the time frame that keeps happening. So there is some sort of a last-minute rush that's happening on those cloud modernizations as well. So that's another wave that we can capture in those industries too.
Interesting. But tell me one thing, Debashis, when you talk about all the various sectors, what about various geographies? Because, while North America has been your largest revenue contributor, what about Europe? And now with the new administration in place, how do you think North America is going to pan out?
Well, too early to talk about North America, but I can only say that North America
well, that's
has been...
also 2.0, so you know how it's going to pan out pretty much.
So, at this point of time, honestly, we don't think we are concerned about North America per se. The concern that we had and which we always have, and that's kind of on top of our mind, is that we have to de-risk from North America. But that has been a journey that we embarked on for several years. But the reality is that North America continues to grow. So it is not that Europe and other part of the world is not growing, but North America continues to grow nicely. In fact, the last few quarters, we closed quite a few nice deals in Europe. We are now talking about you must have heard about the Aramco JV that we signed up. That is something which holds a huge potential, which will be, which will also help us in terms of growing the revenues in the kingdom. So there are a lot of initiatives that we are doing. We recently, focused in terms of getting a new leader in Japan. So there are focus initiatives that are happening across all the other geographies as well. But North America continues to grow and will always be very important for us.
So how is it that you see your market positioning going from here on? Because now you're pretty much a global company, if I can call it that, with newer geographies contributing more and more by every year. Where do you see your market positioning going from here?
Well, I think the market positioning is, we are in a very unique spot. We are not one of the big organizations, the tier 1 organizations, but at the same time, we are not one of the smaller organizations as well. So we are right in the middle. Excuse me. And the way we look at it is that we want to be, we want to be a player which can compete with anybody and everybody. But at the same time, we don't want to lose the agility that we used to have as individual companies. And that's very important for us as well as our clients. So we want to be agile, nimble, but also have all the capabilities that are required to compete in this space with anybody around us.
Sure. So Nachiket, what are the steps from becoming a mid-cap to a large cap, if I can call it in the market terminology?
So a few things that have changed. One is, as you were saying, in order to operate effectively in all the geographies, we have also expanded our delivery footprints. So the last 2 years, we have actually started our operations in 12 new countries. We are in Latin America, in Europe, and in Asia Pacific. It's important for us to have those language capabilities, those geography capabilities to be able to serve customers more broadly and around the world. As DC said, I think we do have end-to-end capabilities to be able to be that transformation partner for our clients like the other larger players have done. And it is also means, I think, in certain sectors, in certain verticals that we already talked about, we also have enough domain depth to be able to advise our clients. So those are the key attributes, if you will, of growing up as far as we are concerned that we kind of measure ourselves against as well.
Right. But what are the challenges, Debashis? In this growth journey, I mean, it's never an uphill and a smooth climb, right? Where do you foresee challenges?
Look, challenges are not something that you will have one challenge today and tomorrow the challenge will change. But at this point of time...
But the more glaring and the more obvious one.
And I would say, rather than using the word challenges, I would say there are opportunities which we need to embark on. And if you have seen the effort that the or if you have seen the variety of stuff that we are using, which you saw in the AI
Innovation
showcase,
Hub,
innovation.
yes.
So we are very confident that we understood what exactly is required from AI perspective. The vision that we have laid out in terms of our pivot, which is AI for AI in everything, everything for AI, and AI for everyone, which is once you understand and once it is understood by the rest of the employees, I think everybody wants to be part of that journey. So I think the biggest challenge or the opportunity, whichever way we want to call it, is that how do we ensure that we can rally the entire workforce behind whatever we want to do with respect to AI? I mean, as Nachiket articulated, the co-pilot, everybody has to be having a persona-based, every individual in the company needs to understand his or her persona and how the AI co-pilot will help that person in terms of improving productivity. So that's the kind of things it's a tall order, but we are on the right track. And I think if we can do that, then that will position us very well as the AI journey continues.
Is workforce the bigger challenge also? Because like you said, for every geography, there's different training, different language, different clients.
I think workforce is, I wouldn't call it a challenge. I actually feel that the reason we are expanding is also in this sort of new world, we got to take work to the talent and not talent to the work.
Okay.
And that's really why we want to be where the talent is and take our work there so that we can get the best that's possible. In every geography within India, we are in many locations. We are also expanding in other countries. So the idea is, I think talent would become a limitation if we continue to look at the same talent, source from the same places and train the people in the same way. But if we change that approach in terms of where we operate, what kind of talent we attract, how we train our talent, I don't think that becomes a limiting factor. The requirement is that we got to reimagine not just the service that we do to the client, but we also have to reimagine how we run our business. So we have to first do what we want to do to our customers. We have to do it to ourselves first. So if we don't reimagine, we won't be able to deliver to those promises.
True. So 10 years hence, Debashis, other than $10 billion, which I'm sure is going to come in earlier than what you've targeted, what else are we looking at? Where will LTIMindtree be when you envisage 10 years hence?
Well, I think it's, if we can fulfill our dreams to be a $10 billion company, that itself is a very exciting milestone for all of us. And, it's a journey which has to embark a number of smaller S curves, and we have to define the intermediate milestones. I think that itself will be a very exciting journey, and we'll be all excited to be a $10 billion company.
Would you want to give us numbers and what the intermediate milestones are?
Well, that's something which is, I won't say in the works. That is something which we have been have some plans. But as and when, we will see as we progress through the next quarters, we will be able to see some of those things, whatever we have planned.
Great, and we look forward to that. And congratulations once again, and good luck for the $10 billion journey. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. LTIMindtree AI Innovation Showcase. Well, the tagline says AI in everything, everything for AI, and AI for everyone. And who better than to break it down and help us understand how exactly is AI going to change all of our lives and what exactly is LTIMindtree doing for AI and with AI. Nachiket Deshpande right here to walk me through all the various innovations that they've been making in AI. Nachiket, welcome to ET Now. Thank you so much. Let's start off with your tagline first. AI for everything, everyone for AI, and AI for everything. Did I get it right? Almost. So break it down for us. What exactly is AI and how does LTIMindtree come into the entire piece?
See, our biggest challenge was there's so much noise around AI.
Yeah.
Right?
Everything is AI, right?
You look at every media, you read anything, you watch anything, it's all about AI. And in that sort of an environment where there's so much noise, we wanted to look at strategy that we can rally all the 86,000 people behind. It is simple enough to understand, but more importantly, it should be simple enough to adopt.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what got us to this tagline. This tagline or the strategy of AI has 3 key pillars. The first pillar is about AI in everything,
Okay.
which means we would infuse AI in everything we do.
Okay.
Every service, how we deliver, what we deliver to our client, we will reimagine with AI at the center.
Okay.
And that's AI for everything for you. And that sort of spans across every single service, every single segment, every single client of ours. And think about it is that it's an inward facing strategy because it's what we are doing to ourselves in order to change the capability, change the productivity, change the outcome.
And change our lives.
Change our lives and change how we do business.
Yeah.
The second part is, as you take these solutions and put them in production within the enterprises, there is a lot of supplementary capabilities that the organizations have to build before these solutions can be put into production. And these are the capabilities that never had before. They don't know how to.
Yeah.
So the entire value chain from GPU infrastructure to how do you get data organized for AI, how do you remove hallucination and biases, how do you govern it, how do you ensure that the security protocols are all set.
Place, yeah.
All of these peripheral capabilities are needed before they can adopt these AI solutions. All these peripheral capabilities represents that everything for AI.
Yeah.
So anything and everything you need in order to make AI real, that's those peripheral capabilities.
And that's what you're providing. And
That's what we are
working for.
providing.
So let's take a look. What exactly have you been doing?
So we start here in the AI in everything journey. I'm talking about how are we changing our experiences for consumers that we deliver.
Okay.
So we work on the practice or the capability we call is interactive, which essentially is the agency work, marketing technology work, commerce work, direct to consumer channel transformation. So this is, the most consumer facing capability.
Things that touch our lives pretty much
Correct.
every day. Yeah.
Now, how do we get AI included in the services we deliver for those? So that's what you would see here on this.
Yeah.
As an organization, today the apps that we build, the sites that we maintain, the brands that we manage, touches about 1 billion lives.
Wow.
So these are many consumer names that you already know. These are airline apps, hotel apps, consumer goods app, brands that we all use. We manage all digital assets for them. So there are 1 billion lives that we already touch. How do we now bring the AI into those solutions in transforming what we already do for them? So the first part is around integrated commerce.
Yeah.
Second part is around marketing transformation. And the third part is around how do we reimagine the service that people interact with.
What more can be done than
What
what
more?
already is?
Correct.
Great.
So the first aspect, and I think maybe you guys will get it better, is about the whole creative agency aspect.
Yeah.
Right? How do you disrupt the lead times that is taken for generating creatives that are needed? How do you shorten the time for new campaigns? How do you measure the effectiveness of campaign better than what you were able to? So solutions around those is what we cover in that. And what you would see is that in 23 as well as in 24, we were the only tech company that was actually rated in Ad Age, which actually ranks agencies. So the capabilities we are bringing together is actually now disrupting the services that we were not otherwise known for.
Yeah.
Then the consumer trends in the CPG industries, right? You look at product innovators, you look at people, these customer service agent that actually engages with the end customers, the life cycle in terms of how consumers buy, the purchases that they do on the websites or whatever apps that they engage with, and the operations, which is the supply chain, the boring stuff behind, which actually required for you to do the
which is the critical part.
So all of those are now getting disrupted through various aspects of those. So if you see the things that we will talk about, I'll probably do it simpler. The 3 main trends that are disrupting all of those aspects. First, content. We all talked about in terms of how the content is created, we don't even know what's real anymore. So there's a lot that is happening on
It's
content.
almost like a person is talking back to you via the apps. Yeah.
And actually, that's probably we don't have that booth, but we have a solution that exactly does that. What you talked
Yeah.
about. The second piece, which I believe is actually starting to unlock more than ever, is hyper-personalization. There was a lot that was already happening on the personalization front on the consumer industry, but it was still very static.
Yeah.
It was always about you belong to a demographic,
Yeah.
and hence the personalization that you had typecasted to you in a certain way.
Yeah, but now it's more
Now
push
can you
strategy.
really
Yeah.
individualized
Yeah.
because you have access to data and you have ability to genuinely change your product and service in that. And the last bit is when you are actually interacting with a product and a service, for the service to know who you are and change its behavior. That is not something that was
Give me
very
an
common.
example.
So for example, if I'm calling a typical thing, I'm calling a support because I want to cancel an order, or I didn't get my order, or what I got was broken, right? It's a typical, you will do a call center service or you do a chatbot.
Yeah.
The problem is 50% of frustrations in explaining it to 3 people what's actually happening
Yeah.
before you get to talk to someone who can solve. But if you had a AI solution that will do all of that for that customer service agent, so that when you call, they actually know what you're going through.
So a smarter chatbot.
Actually, even if it's a human, a nudges that will tell you that what's actually happening with you. It understands that there is an order that was not delivered on time or is delayed. Somebody had ordered this before, or that you already reported there was a fault in that order. You don't need to explain it again and again. So that reduces the friction and the frustration in the service that you face
Perfect.
as we go along.
So shall we move to the other booth now?
Let's
Yeah.
take to the other. Now, from a relatively easy to relate world
Yeah.
of consumers,
More consumer, yeah.
let's get to more
Industrial?
industrial
Yeah.
space, right? So one of the things that what we have been also looking at is sort of AI that is real. So it's not just fuzzy things that are not, you can't touch and feel, you don't really know what's happening, but it's as much applicable in the real hard industrial world where you can touch and feel. And there's just so much of innovation that's already possible with that AI in those industries as well. So here we are looking at sort of 3 dimensions to that industrial AI. The first component is everything related to vision AI, which means you scan something to find a fault, you look at something to identify or classify some things, anything that you require a video or a photo vision AI to deduce. And the applications of that you will see here. One of the
I see a car
applications we
door.
talked about. So this is what we do for a car rental,
Yeah.
where when you return a car, a photo or a video can tell you whether there was a damage, whether there was a bump, if there was a scratch. When you're taking a
Okay,
car,
so
also
you
know
see
what's already.
and
You
that's
don't have
the
to explain.
intelligence.
You don't have to. Nobody has to go
Walk
around
back.
and note it on the clipboard and saying that here is a dent.
Yeah.
was
The
a
dent
dent.
is here, the paint
all
is here.
happens,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
So
that's
when you
great.
return the car, you know if there is a damage. You take the car, you know where there is a damage. So it's a significant friction taken out of that process.
That's amazing.
You look at this in an insurance situation where there's claims when you're in an accident.
And
So a
these
lot.
can speed up so much.
You just take a
Yeah.
video, upload, your claims the process.
Wow.
Significant reduction.
Yeah.
This one is more industrial. For example, there are lots of large welding manufacturing solutions. And we do that PSLV rocket casing.
Wow.
So it is several meters tall,
Yeah.
huge, but requires very high precision because it is in a very high temperatures
course.
and these conditions. So you have a bot like that crawls up that surface and identifies whether the welding was done properly or not. Will it withstand the temperature changes it is supposed to do or not? So, and it not only that it looks at, but it kind of QR code marks it on there, so that when you're looking at QA, you know where the fault is and where it needs to be repaired.
Fascinating.
For example.
Wow. And what
This is
does
a
this
smart
do?
helmet which basically does a lot of safety things around it.
Okay.
For example, if you are wearing the helmet on a construction site and you are walking in the zone that you're not supposed to walk into, the helmet will actually alert you that you're actually going into the zone you're not supposed to. Things of that nature which will actually saves lives, literally saves
But
lives.
do you see a lot of domestic demand for the products that you just showcased?
So we're doing it actually with international customers as well as domestic. So for example, this we're doing it with a global car rental. Because in India, that probably business is not as big as it is in the US.
Exactly.
So they do, the car rental company we work for is in a busy airport like a Dallas or a New York. They do like 5,000 cars a day.
Yeah.
So for them, this is real beneficial.
Yeah.
It's not something that they can do manually. This is in India as well as many other, I would say, emerging geographies where there's a lot of construction still happening. And I think the US is one.
Why is the hammer here?
This is actually if you want to try
Oh,
that
it's
out.
for the car?
If you want to try it out, I would.
Raise room. No, some other time.
And the last part that we've talked about is little complicated, but it's around simulating the entire assembly line in any industry. So this is a demo kit that we have looked at with a compressor. It creates a digital twin sensing all the parameters of that assembly line, or even in a working condition where this particular compressor is deployed.
So what kind of industries would you use
this? Will actually be working in any industries which have a complicated assembly lines, or any areas where you are deploying this machinery. Even the compressors, for example, even in a building, for an HVAC system, you will have a compressor deployed. So this will work in every production environment for all of these facilities, and it is able to do end-to-end optimization with enterprise systems data as well as the manufacturing sensor data that comes from this.
And now we move to a drone.
And this is actually one of the very interesting area where we normally do not associate AI with. So this we are doing it in the area of geospatial. So geospatial basically is a technology that can scan three-dimensional surfaces. For example, it can scan a ground to know what's beneath the soil. It can tell you the soil type, it can tell you the moisture, it can tell you the conditioning of that soil.
So largely agricultural use.
It actually one of the interesting use for this is also in infrastructure projects.
Yeah, of course.
For example, if there are lots of these water projects where you are laying 5,000 kilometers of pipeline.
Or reclaiming the sea.
And when you're doing that, you don't know how best to lay the pipe. Where the ground has the condition where you can take the weight when you are putting the pipe. You also need to know sometimes when you're looking at it from a vegetation, you need to find out how can you lay pipe with cutting least amount of trees. What's the way?
So this is just going to fly aerial and calculate everything.
So
and
we
read
do
everything?
this across from a very small drone that does internal to a slightly bigger drone like this which does outside, to a lidar equipment attached on a helicopter which does for acres of land.
Wow.
And all of this is brought in together. And what we do is, this is what is called, it's like a maps language. This data cannot be represented in a conventional way. So you have to represent this data with multiple coordinates. So this is what we have built as solution, where it's a map database that brings all of these things together. So it tells you
I
the
can see
entire
that.
project
Yeah.
they're in, the 3D model of realistic excavation site. Then when we were looking at a statue building, it actually can give you the structural benefit. For metro rail, it tells you what's the best way to run a metro. There's so many use cases that you can actually think about with this data.
Great. So headed in the right direction via AI.
And the idea is we wanted to look at AI, which is pragmatic approach, and it's real, rather than everybody chasing a new LLM or building another solution, which, there are enough startups around the world and enough capital dollars that are doing that. We feel our role is to use that technology to solve a real world problem. And that's what that AI and everything for AI and AI for everyone is all about.
Okay, touching lives. Thank you so much for the AI walkabout. We're definitely more learned after this about how many ways AI can actually change our lives.